Hi, this is Kevin Baumer, CML Deputy Director. In a moment, we'll do this week's CML Statehouse Report. You'll hear from myself and my colleagues legislation that occurred in the State House this week and issues that are coming up next week. Before I do that, on behalf of everyone here at the Colorado Municipal League, we want to extend our sincere condolences to the Adams County Sheriff's Office on the loss of Deputy Heath Gum. Colorado municipalities, counties, and the state of Colorado employ public safety officers that are dedicated to keeping our communities safe, and we want to thank them for everything that they do. One of the cornerstone issues in this legislative session is broadband. Governor John Hickenlooper mentioned in his State of the State address as a priority, as did leadership in both houses. Senate Bill 2, sponsored by Senator Don Quorum from Montrose and Senator Jerry Sonnenberg from Sterling, is the legislation that is intended to bring high-cost support mechanism dollars to the Broadband Deployment Board, and those would be then issued out into rural broadband grants. The problem with the legislation is that it doesn't just simply distribute the dollars, it has a lot of other amendments on it. There was an amendment added in committee this week that is extraordinarily problematic from CML's point of view that would untether the minimum speeds from FCC's definition of minimum speeds for any additional broadband grants. An amendment that we were hoping that would get on that did not is an amendment that would have accelerated how quickly high-cost support mechanism dollars would go to the Broadband Deployment Board. So at this point, CML can't support the bill. We're still neutral on it. We know there's a long way to go. We know the sponsors are trying to do the right thing, and we look forward to working with them.
Hi, Megan Dollar here. A couple of pieces of legislation that I want to tell you about this week. First one has to do with affordable housing. That is Senate Bill 006 by Senator Zenzinger. What that does is create an opt-in program for county clerks to increase their document recording fee, and the additional funding would go to a state level continued funding mechanism in the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority for attainable and affordable housing. CML maintains a position that we support any opportunity for continuous state funding for affordable housing, and so that is why we hope that that legislation does pass. Another bill I'm following that's up next week in House Judiciary has to do with civil asset forfeiture reform. This is the follow-up from House Bill 171313 that passed last year. Over the interim, a task force convened to talk about implementing the civil asset forfeiture reform bill from last year, and CML is supportive of the majority of things in that bill, including grant programs as well as better shareback opportunities for law enforcement. We do want to clarify some language that's currently in the bill with regard to local public nuisance ordinances, but through work with Representative Herod, the bill sponsor, I believe that we will be able to do that and end up supporting the bill, and for that we're very thankful.
Hello, this is Morgan Cullen with the Colorado Municipal League, and this week, first week of February was all about oil and gas down at the state capitol. There was 3 bills that were heard in Senate committees. The first was Senate Bill 48, which was the local control bill sponsored by Senator Matt Jones that was ultimately PI'd last Monday. Senate Bill 63 and Senate Bill 64 were heard in the Senate Ag Committee yesterday evening. And those would do 2 things. The first would require greater financial assurance for reclamation requirements for oil and gas wells before they could be issued a permit. And Senate Bill 64 would increase the renewable energy standard in Colorado to 100% by 2035. And both those bills were ultimately postponed indefinitely in Senate Ag yesterday evening. One bill did pass, however, late yesterday evening, and that was House Bill 1071, brought forward by Representative Salazar, that would codify the Martinez decision, which would require the COGCC to protect the general health, safety, and welfare of Colorado residents before they were able to issue permits for oil and gas operations.
Hello, this is Diane Criswell, Legislative Counsel at CML. This week I had a bill about business personal property tax up. That's House Bill 1036. It was Representative Leonard's bill in the House State Affairs Committee, and it died along party lines. This is the perennial business personal property tax exemption bill. So these are the kinds of movable chairs and tables that businesses keep in their place of business, and they pay property tax on it. It's not a very popular tax, so we see these kinds of proposals come out every year. So due to the fiscal impact primarily on local governments, the committee voted in total not to move the bill along.
Thanks again for joining us. Don't forget, we'll do this every week, and if you've not yet registered for the CML Legislative Workshop, early registration deadline will end on Monday, February 5th. We look forward to seeing you there, and if you are going, make sure you invite your legislator to the reception that's immediately following as well.